Yo, guys, what's going on? It's the Moral Compass, Mark Poulton, and better late than never, Phil McNulty. What's up, Phil?
What up, everybody? How's it going?
Whoa, I don't recognize you without the tie.
I thought you were gonna say without the stash.
I'm gonna have to update my pictures.
Listen, I gotta keep you on your toes. They gotta keep going full force. But what up, everybody? How's it going?
So this was a busy week for wrestling. We had the Impact pay-per-view against all odds. Before we get into wrestling, though, I thought we'd talk a little comics. I mean, we're both comic creators after all, and I actually got some artwork in today that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I just got done watching it actually this morning, against all odds, and I have my gripes when it comes to this pay-per-view, but mainly that's with the booking. But the ending was super strong.
Did you even hear what I said?
No, I did not hear. I had to go get my cat out of the closet.
Oh, okay.
What did you say?
I was talking comics.
Oh, what did you say?
I was saying before we get into wrestling, I thought we'd talk a little comics. I have some new art to share.
Oh, go ahead.
But before that, we got Leandro in the chat. What's up, Leandro? He says, is it me or do wrestling fans not even realize this is actually a good wrestling channel? We got to spread the word, Leandro. We need people like you to go spread the word for us. But I appreciate you tuning in today, man.
What up, Leandro? We've been, the past couple weeks have been crazy for us scheduling the Pod God. So we're always glad when people who fans of the show follow the show. So thank you, Leandro.
So I'm going to share some artwork. It actually is a little wrestling related because it's of my man, the mercenary Flip Gordon. This is a new piece I had done by artist Francesco Tomaselli. I hope I'm saying his name right. But I'm going to zoom in on this. This is pretty awesome. So Mercenary makes his debut in U.S. Assassin 3, which launches in August. I'm taking no time off this year, Phil. I'm just doing campaign after campaign. So once Viking Wolf wraps up, I'm going to send it off to the printer, and then I'm going to launch U.S. Assassin 3, our crossover with Graveyard Shift. First appearance of the Mercenary Flip Gordon. This piece is awesome. Lots of stuff going on in the background. He's got his like crazy conspiracy board with pictures of all the members of U.S. Assassin on it. Lots of cool little Easter eggs in there. But this, I was actually talking to Flip today. He gets excited whenever I send him artwork because he says it's like Christmas for him, which is I'm glad he's excited about the book. But yeah, it's awesome, man. I asked him. So I do the collector's cases every campaign. We're going to include this as a print in the collector cases for this campaign, and Flip is going to sign all the prints for people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably print these up in advance and send them off to him, and then he'll sign them all. Give him some time to get these signed. We got Muttman in the chat. What's up, Muttman?
What up?
Muttman has a great book called Hero. I think he's working on the sequel right now, so I'm looking forward to that. We got Hicksville in the chat. Is Flip still a flat earther? As far as I know, he is. I think he does that just for the reactions from people.
Or so Mark hopes. No, I kid.
So that's the new Flip artwork. Also, while we're talking comics, I got to mention Viking Wolf. Viking Wolf is one backer away from $14,000, Phil. I feel like I've been stuck at this. It's only been it's only been one day, but it feels like it's been an eternity.
You want that 14K.
I do. I really want 15K because at that, all the backers get a trading card by Mike McMahon. And soon we're going to have some artwork from you that I'm
Yes, we are.
looking forward to. But the campaign's doing really well. The artwork by Matt Dalton and Renzo is just gorgeous. Just scroll through it a little bit. Here's Renzo's cover. Some interior artwork by Renzo and Matt. Everyone's favorite page. the character that has a resemblance to our man Leandro. He doesn't he doesn't fare too well against Viking Wolf though. And then we have a black and white edition of the book with a cover by Jose Garcia.
Every time I see that page of poor Leandro's head getting blown up, I think of Arnold thinking like, he's got a splitting headache.
Oh man, this is gruesome. Renzo went all out depicting this.
I remember when we were on the Launch podcast, and he was like, I had to change it to be a little less cartoony. And I almost said, yeah, like that head blowing up.
Yeah,
my print will not be gruesome. I think I went the other way with it.
But there's also the Haunted Pizza yearbook, featuring a cover by Renzo of my newest creation, Gun Goth, which is a book I have coming out next year. So make sure, if you want everything, you can get the fan pack. That's our featured tier, $100. If you signed up for the mailing list, you got it at a discount for $75. So if you haven't checked out Viking Wolf, make sure you check it out. I highly recommend it. And the artwork is all done. Once the campaign ends July 27th, we're going straight to the printer, and I hope to have this fulfilled by the end of August. So, Phil, you mentioned we haven't talked in a while because we're always having to schedule La Pod Gods, and we didn't do a best friend show. I don't know if you've been keeping up on things, but there was a big, you remember in Best Friends show, we had infiltration of the crack pack.
Yes.
And Viper even showed up in our chat. World famous
Viper.
Yeah. So over the weekend, some creators and we did a PSA announcement against crack. Did you happen to see it?
I did not. Are you going to play it for us?
I'll play it for you. It was very controversial, but I'll let you view it, see what you think.
All right, let's see. I feel like I'm finally going to be one of those reaction videos.
Oh yeah. Can you hear it okay?
Oh, I can hear it.
Hello. My name is Joe M. Sontag. We have a lot of fun times here at Comicsgate. Let's get serious for a second. What follows is a very important message by creators to Comicsgate. Listen close, because what you're about to hear might save your life.
I'm writing to you because it seems like you really care about comic skaters on crack.
Every day on a stream, this troll keeps coming up to me and calling me a coward because I won't do crack.
The rest of the chat was always laughing at me, so I said, okay, I'll do some.
I don't know how much crack I did or what happened next, but I had an awful accident.
The doctor says I'll be fine, but my wife and kids are really scared. I am too.
I wish I would never done crack.
This comic skater is a 42-year-old male.
Crack. The only way to stop abusing it
Is to stop using it.
For this reason, I must disavow.
I must disavow.
I must disavow.
I must disavow.
I must disavow crack.
Studies show crack users only back crack, not books. Disavow.
So what'd you think, Phil?
I'm glad I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah, it really backfired on us. The Crack Pack wanted our heads for this. Oh, geez. I got Bancroft's channel playing. There we go. But yeah, the Crack Pack was out for our heads. D. Wagner, Darren Wagner, D-Wag. Big,
The Pod Gods.
yeah, main event
Misfit.
Yeah, he was on a rampage collecting scalps that day when that was released. He was on Bancroft's channel that night, and he won me over. You know, I have an open mind to crack now after his performance on Bancroft's channel.
No, this is not a thing. Why is this a thing? Why is this a thing?
Why is it a thing? You just got to roll with it, Phil.
All right.
But Shane Davis with his misinformation. Studies don't show the Crack Pack supports a lot of books.
I will say Shane Davis absolutely killed that.
Oh yeah, he was
He
fantastic.
killed that.
Johnny Cage says, "Damn it, I'm late. Did I miss the oiliest wrestler of the week? You did not. We might have to retire oiliest wrestler of the week."
No, this is what keeps honestly, it keeps the pot. We need more segments like the oiliest wrestler of the week.
Muttman, what in the world did I just watch? Muttman, you're better off not knowing. All right. Ready to talk some pro wrestling?
Let's do it.
All right. Impact Wrestling. This was their go-home show for Against All Odds. It starts off with the AEW Impact Wrestling Summit. Tony Khan is there. He hasn't been on Impact in a while. He stopped doing his paid commercials. I guess he felt like he gave Impact enough money this year.
I just think Tony Khan forgets. There's no mention of Impact on AEW. I think he just forgets that he has to do this thing from time to time. But like he really is buying into the gimmick, the Forbidden Door gimmick that he's trying to do. So I'm all right with it.
So Scott D'Amore, he invited Tony Khan here because at the pay-per-view, Kenny Omega is defending against Moose. Don Callis has been getting involved in matches, and he wants to make sure that the Good Brothers, Don Callis, they can't interfere. So he worked it out with Tony Khan. The main event at Against All Odds is going to be Kenny Omega and Moose, and it's going to be in Jacksonville at the, what's the name of the Daly's Place.
Daly's Place.
Yeah, so the Good Brothers, they're going to be at the Impact arena, as will Sami Callihan, so they can't interfere. So Don Callis is outraged because the Good Brothers won't be there in Kenny Omega's corner.
This segment, the ending of this segment is what got me. When they're like, it should be defended at Daly's Place. First of all, no, it's the Impact Championship. It should be held at the Impact Arena. If we're gonna follow that standard. Secondly, as soon as they said so that the Good Brothers can't interfere, it automatically was like, hey guys, guess who is at Daly's Place? Right? So like it almost sort of spoiled it. But that being said, that match on Against All Odds ruled. Top 5 match of 2021 so far. I hope it has more to do with Moose being part of AEW than anything, because I think that's just the perfect spot for him.
Yeah, we got Hicksville, and he chimed in. He says he's waiting for Eva Marie to win Oiliest Wrestler of the Week.
Yeah, well, let's have her debut first. We don't want to do another Emelina.
Oh, you know
gimmick.
what? I think she debuts tonight against Naomi.
Yep, they announced it on Instagram today, so we'll see.
Yeah. So after the promo in the ring, we go backstage. Brian Myers is with his protege, Sam Beal. He asks him to cut a promo on Matt Cardona, and Sam Beal builds his opponent up, hyping up Matt Cardona, saying how great he is, how hot his fiance is. And Brian Myers is like, "What are you doing? You don't build him up, you bury him." Telling him all the wrong things to do. I love it.
I am so in love with Brian Myers. Brian Myers has slowly become the best part of Impact Wrestling. From his promos to his matches. Is there any wrestler today that knows their gimmick better than Brian Myers?
No, it's funny. It's been almost a year that he's been with Impact. He debuted right after Slammiversary, and this is the most TV time he's had in his entire career. I think he's been on Impact Wrestling every week since then. Mm-hmm. I can't remember a week he hasn't been on TV.
Yeah, he's doing something, and it's almost he has a gimmick. And he knows his gimmick, and it works. And it's amazing. I always hated as a kid when you would read the dirt sheets or you get the wrestling magazines, and it says it's not a main event gimmick, right? As I'm older now, I understand what a main event gimmick is, being that my gimmick is the main event. This is a main event gimmick, and I'm more excited for Omega to drop this title so we can get the title on Myers eventually.
Leandro says Eva's been putting the work in. Oh, I guess we'll see tonight. Amanda B says, you can't retire Oiliest Wrestler of the Week. People are requesting it. Phil is right. You need more segments. And Johnny Cage says, I'm halfway scared of the possibility of Eva Marie wrestling Nia Jax.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Special guest referee Tamina.
All right, match 1. We get Rosemary versus Havoc. This is a tune-up match for Rosemary because she has the big the title match against Deonna Purrazzo at Against All Odds. She gets the victory. She looked pretty strong in this.
This is going to be a continuing theme with how poorly booked Impact has been. Mainly when it comes to their women's division. There's no way Havoc should be doing the job for Rosemary. Their career trajectories have been going so far the different reaction. Why would you cut Havoc off at the knees when she's just started to sort of build up her own singles run? I don't get it. And it's not, and it won over clean, like almost. So I don't know. I'm just done. I can't. Because we're gonna get to Against All Odds too, and we know my girl once again is getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah. So Deonna Purrazzo, Susan Kimberly, they come out, they beat everyone down, including I think Fire and Flavor too, and they request a match with them later in the show, I think, or is it at the pay-per-view? It all runs together when you watch 7 hours of wrestling in one weekend, Phil.
No, this was where it later turned into Kimberly versus Tasha Steelz, which they just did a one-on-one match to sort of hype up Against All Odds.
Yeah, yep, you're correct, because that's the next match, Kimberly versus Tasha Steelz. Tasha gets the win. This is kind of a weird thing. I was like, are they going to start turning Susan and Kimber babyface, or are they turning Fire and Flavor, or is it just heel versus heel?
It's just, and they've done this. I think they do this throughout the pay-per-view too. And throughout this episode, you can tell that their roster is getting really thin with when it's come to a loss of talent. Right? They lost the Rascals. We all thought Samoa Joe was going to come back, and now Joe looks like he signed on to be Triple H's right-hand man for NXT. So we're not going to get Joe at Slammiversary. Taya Valkyrie is now doing nothing on NXT, and she was the heart and soul of that women's division, the legit star that she was. So Impact is really feeling it, where they don't have the time now because they film so much in advance. They don't have the time to do heel turns or face turns. They just got to go roll with it, heel versus heel or face versus face at this point.
So it looks like we're not getting Samoa Joe, but you know who we are getting? Steve Macklin. And these vignettes are amazing. This guy, he went from being a forgotten son to being portrayed as the biggest badass, I think, in wrestling right now.
You know, there was a line where they said, right, either he will meet like Mr. Mayhem or you will. Who is Mr. Mayhem? Wasn't that Wardlow's original gimmick?
Yeah, I think it was.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a hint for a Macklin setting it up or if that's going to be his gimmick or whatnot. I really don't care because Steve Macklin is awesome and these promos freaking rule.
Yeah, no, he comes off as a real badass. Apparently, Wesley Blake, his partner in the Forgotten Sons, has been filming some vignettes with the same person. It'll be interesting. At this point, I don't want him in a tag team with Wesley Blake. He looks like he's a main event guy the way they're portraying him right now.
You know, with Murphy released, just do Blake and Murphy. Don't leave. Let Steve Macklin, formerly known as Cutler, let him get his own shot because these promos are way too good to be ruined for one half of a tag team.
Yeah, no, I agree. Match 3, Petey Williams is teaming up with Trey Miguel against Rohit Raju, your favorite, and Chris Bay. These guys are all in the five-man number one contenders match at Against All Odds, along with Ace Austin, to see who will be the number one contender for the X Division title. Ace Austin gets involved. Petey and Trey Miguel get the victory, but Ace Austin, Madman, come out. They destroy everyone. It's funny. We were talking so highly of the X Division with Josh Alexander being the champion, that incredible match he had with TJP. But then they bring back all these guys who, for the last year, we've been saying we're sick of these guys. Rohit Raju, Chris Bay,
Trey Miguel.
Yeah.
Right, the only one that has some, and he stands out like a sore thumb only because he's the new guy to the group, but he's really good at what he does. Petey Williams has been a standout for me in these X Division segments. Just his in-ring work has been phenomenal alone. But this is sort of that thing where they're just like, all right, we got to shoehorn a match at a pay-per-view coming up, put all of them together. And this is what we were complaining about with the X Division just a few months ago. You can't have them all be – it's almost seeming like the 24/7 title at this point. They're all just chasing around Josh Alexander.
Yeah, we get Tennille Dashwood's All About Me talk show. She has Rachel Ellering on. Rachel brings Jordan Grace. I feel like I've seen this segment before.
Because we have. It's the same Tennille Dashwood segment every week. And Rachel Ellering is doing no favors for Jordan Grace. This whole feud is doing no favors for Jordan Grace. This is the longest. This is one of those times where I don't have the patience for this long form storytelling. Jordan Grace has to turn heel, and it had to happen yesterday. And we're just, and Against All Odds is just the summit of it.
Yeah. No, yeah, this needs to happen. Match 4, Joe Doring with Violent by Design versus Eddie Edwards. Eddie gets the win by DQ, but he gets the beat down by Violent by Design. Sorry, my bad. They beat him up. Violent by Design beats him up. Kojima comes out. Kojima's facing Doring at Against All Odds. Thoughts?
I'm glad what happened to Kojima happened to Kojima at Against All Odds. Let's just say that this has been a waste. It's been a waste.
He gets the Eddie Edwards treatment at the pay-per-view.
Eddie Edwards is better than this. Violent by Design is better than this. This whole thing is Impact has no clue what they're doing, and it's evident this past month. Like this was my favorite wrestling show for months. Like we talked about how much we loved Wrestle House and Johnny Swinger, and we loved how Tommy Dreamer, we loved Triple XL becoming serious, and it just seems like over the last month they don't know what to do anymore. And I don't know if that's, and we can't even say it's Omega taking the Impact title because that was part of the stuff that was going super well. We knew he was going to take it. He took it, and him being the dick that he is has been great. It's just that they don't progress storylines fast enough because whatever they have taped is whatever they have taped, and they can't change it on the fly to a fault.
And you know what else we've been missing the last couple of weeks? Taylor Wilde.
Yes. Our Friday nights used to get wild, and now they're just Violent by Design.
Yeah. And Matt Cardona hasn't been on the last couple of weeks. He just filmed like one day of tapings, and then he went to Hawaii. Have you been keeping up with the Matt Cardona and Nick Gage stuff?
Yeah, it's been awesome, and it's why I know that I'm not supposed to be rooting like for Brian Myers and knowing that Matt Cardona is the face, but seeing him as a heel, it's been good stuff. And if Impact knows what they're doing, they should bring him back on as a heel.
Yeah, no. When he surprised Nick Gage, dropped him with the DDT, I sent you a clip of him cutting a promo as he went out the exit door. It was the best promo he's cut in his entire life.
Yeah, and I love this gimmick that he is for the fans, and now he's got fans and he's got fans, and it's really good stuff. Both him and Myers' gimmick work has been so good since they started their podcast, where I feel like they just feel free to they're so comfortable with who they are right now that they feel like whatever they want, they can try.
So this weekend they had Matt and Brian had their live event in Baltimore. They did a live version of their podcast, and Nick Gage crashed it. But he couldn't get to Matt Cardona. But they're wrestling for the GCW title July 24th in Atlantic City. I got tickets to go to it. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go in decked out in my Matt Cardona gear.
Do it.
It could be a hostile crowd, although online, obviously, Matt Cardona has way more fans than Nick Gage. So I'm hoping for a big turnout of his fans.
So you don't fear.
Yeah. Maybe I'll wear it underneath like a Nick Gage shirt or something, and then proudly rip it off when he wins.
There you go.
So main event time, W. Morrissey versus Willie Mack. No DQ match. Morrissey is just a monster. Yeah, this is one of the things that they're doing really well. They're booking him fantastic.
He has such a presence about him. Like I'm happy for the guy. Like I'm legit happy for. You hear all the backstage stuff, and you could tell he was was spiraling down with certain things in the backstage locker room. He's in shape. He's got a character. He's in ring. He's always had the best big boot in the business. His big boot has been phenomenal, and this is how you build a main eventer. And this is, man, they've set themselves up to have such good main event contenders between Myers and between Morrissey, but both of them are heels. So I don't know where it's going to be, but I'm all on the Morrissey train.
Yeah, so Morrissey gets the victory. That's our go home episode of Impact. Do you want to talk about Against All Odds?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so we'll just cover the main matches. The X Division #1 contenders match. Ace Austin is your number one contender. That was the correct decision to make. Out of those 5, he's the only person who really we want to see in the X division.
Right. The other guys are just a bunch of jabroons.
Joe Doring destroys Kojima.
Good. Get Kojima out of there.
The Good Brothers lose, surprisingly, to Sami Callihan and Tommy Dreamer in a no DQ match. I instantly thought, oh, Dreamer's taking the pinfall in this match.
This is when Impact got it right. Like the right team won, the right man got the pin, and they're building up towards Callahan and Omega. I don't think Callahan's gonna take the strap off of Omega, but it's a really nice build to a storyline.
So that was the first match, which is important to remember as we get to the main event. Deonna Purrazzo defeats Rosemary. I feel like that's pretty much all the main matches. They did have another behind the scenes skit with Brian Myers and Sam Beal. This was actually pretty funny. It was, what was it? I think it was the tag match where Tennille Dashwood beat Tennille beat Jordan Grace
with a roll up.
Yeah, and Brian Myers is like, "What did you learn?" And Sam Beal is like, "To always keep your eye on your opponent." And he was like, "No, sometimes the schoolboy is a schoolgirl." And Jake something walks by and was like, "Don't listen to anything this guy says." And Brian Myers is just like, "Here's another lesson for you. Don't take the bait." And he walks off. So a funny segment. Main event, we go to Daly's place. Tony Schiavone's calling the match with Scott D'Amore and Don Callis, which I liked. Moose comes out to a big entrance. This was a great match, a great showcase for Moose, I thought. Moose and Kenny Omega, it's good chemistry. That three-way match they had, that was just like, or no, not even the three-way.
The tag team match.
The tag team match. Yeah, that was like, I think Moose's coming out party. He looked like a superstar in that match.
And he looked like a superstar coming out. Like, when you face off against Omega, you got to be at the top of your game. Moose is and he just does it so effortlessly. Like, Moose is going to be, wherever he goes, he has to go to the main event. No matter whether he's on NXT or if he's going to AEW or if he's going back to Impact. But I honestly think he needs a change of scenery just so you can get more eyes on Moose, because he's there and he's got to strike one on the iron top.
Yeah, you would think Moose would be a guy that Vince McMahon would have like the biggest heart on for.
But they already cut Strowman, so
yeah.
And Lashley's championship run is just a snooze fest right
yeah.
now. All of Raw is a snooze fest. So I don't mean to just throw Lashley under the bus. It's just that Lashley's the champion, he's got to carry it.
We've already seen Lashley's title run a couple years ago at Impact, because he's just fighting Drew McIntyre all the time.
And here's the thing: it took EC3 to save his Impact Championship run. So this is just another, like, can we get through this already? But WWE is just the worst product anyway. So
yeah. So Moose loses. The Good Brothers aren't there, but the Young Bucks are, and they super kick Moose 3 times before they finally drop him. Matt Jackson had the line of the night when he said, "Hey, it's Max and Jeremy Buck. Remember us?"
Yeah. This is great. Why are the Bucks and Omega better booked on Impact than they are on Dynamite?
I don't know. Maybe it's Jimmy Jacobs writing for Impact.
You're right. That's who the real steal needs to be. They need. Imagine Jimmy Jacobs on Dynamite. That would be awesome.
I'm surprised he's not on Dynamite. I mean, he pretty much lost his job in WWE for taking a picture with the Elite.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, so Kenny Omega gets the victory. Moose loses. The lights go out. Sami Callihan appears. He took a flight from Nashville to Jacksonville, gets there at the end of the pay-per-view, and Don Callis is flipping out. He fires Sami Callihan. Then Scott D'Amore flips out and chases Don Callis backstage. This is the way they're going to write Callis off of Impact TV. They're going to fire him because he's, obviously corrupted.
Right.
So I thought it was a good pay-per-view. I like the ending. They're really putting all their eggs in the basket with Sami Callihan, it seems like.
We'll see.
Yeah. So he's getting the title shot against Omega at Slammiversary. This is going to be exciting. They're going to have fans there. And if it's anything like last Slammiversary, lots and lots of surprises.
Maybe. I don't see surprises this time, though. This time they just may have to, unless we get the machine guns back together. Hopefully Shelley's been vaccinated and he can do his travels again.
I would hope so by now.
But that was it for Impact. As we move on to AEW, so much wrestling this week. I don't know if I was just fatigued by the time I watched this episode or what, but it certainly didn't get me excited when it was Christian Cage versus Angelico to start off the show.
Hicksville says you only get fired from TNA with a feast or fired match.
Yes.
True. You don't like Angelico. I love him. I think he's cool. I feel like he's maybe one of the most... that is his little dance move, walking to the ring. I don't know. I just find it super cool.
There was one part of the match where Excalibur explained what the Hybrid 2 was, and I thought that was damn good commentating. That was my favorite part of the match.
Yeah, I feel like he's underutilized. Maybe break him off from Jack Evans. I feel like Jack Evans could we keep talking about the eventual cuts of AEW. I feel like Jack Evans would be like one of the first people to go, but they would keep Angelico.
But the match ends with Christian Cage picking up the win, only to have Matt Hardy come in, get a twist of fate, and then Jungle Boy come out to make the save.
Yeah, they were talking up the long feud of Matt Hardy and Christian, and how these guys haven't liked each other since the 90s. So good piece of commentary, I thought.
And I'm really shout out to Christian. He doesn't have to take on Angelico from the Hybrid 2. You know what I mean? He's taking on guys that he's never wrestled before just to get some cachet. And anything Matt Hardy's doing cracks me up. And I love how they're not forgetting their history. So
he's been really great on being the Elite too.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of history, we have Cody Rhodes, who anytime he comes out, he's going to transport us to the 70s, 80s, where he's going to talking to Sean, where he's going to explain we're going to have the Factory versus the Nightmare Family. If you like beating a dead horse, this is the feud for you. QT Marshall was the best part of this segment when it came to his promo, but they introduced Brock Anderson is going to be Cody's tag team partner.
Did you notice that pause in Justin Roberts when he was like, Brock? Then he paused, Anderson. He wanted to trick everyone.
Do you remember when Kennedy was fired from the WWE and he's like, Mister, and then he showed up in TNA, Anderson. That's what it felt like with this one. We were expecting one thing and got the other.
I love Arn Anderson. I love second generation wrestlers. Brock Anderson isn't ready to be on TV yet.
The salmon shirt and the white loafers. Are you kidding me?
His outfit looked awful. He had big sweat pits under each arm.
This is, I used to listen to Vince Russo's podcast, and Russo always said, you have to have a person when you first look at them know that they're a star. When I saw this guy, I said, "Why is Abercrombie coming into the middle of the ring?" Right? I think of The Rock, and I think of his silk shirts, and I think of his khakis, and I think of his watch. Right? I think of Wardlow, and I think of how he has his tie up. Right? He's just busting out of his suit. Right? Brock didn't dress like a star. He did himself no favors whatsoever. And just to get my dad was awesome, ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, no, even if he just wore one of those Nightmare Family sweatsuits like his dad, that would have been a huge improvement. But QT Marshall, I think, saved this segment by taking off his belt and whipping Arn Anderson. Who would have thought a year ago we would be saying QT Marshall was the best thing in a segment?
This is after we talked about how we didn't want him on our screen. He's come such a way from the Nightmare Family and to being stuck with a brand. It's all because Brandy Rhodes. We've already diagnosed this problem.
It just came to me. Yeah, he had the Brandy Rhodes curse. He was part of this Nightmare Family, which is terrible.
What can we just eliminate the Nightmare Family? Get rid of the Gun Club. I love Mr. Ass, but I'm done with Billy Gun Club. Right? Lee Johnson is just the biggest jobber I've ever seen in my life. There is no turning. At least Jinder Mahal's stacked, right? Lee Johnson, I weigh more than Lee Johnson. His hair looks like something a middle schooler would wear. His tights they're supposed to be tights, and they just look like he's got a load of crap in his pants. Lee Johnson is the worst wrestler on television right now, and I'm done with the Nightmare Family. The Factory is so much better. We need more Nick Camarado so we can talk about the oil on his chest. But that's about it. I'm done with this feud. I'm done.
What's next, Phil?
All right. So next up, we have a trios match between the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler against Pac, Penta, and Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston doing what he does best. Cut promos that push continuity, calling Penta his best friend. Penta gave him a side eye like a big ol' FU. And this went straight into the match. And the match, whenever you have Pac and you have Penta and you have the Bucks, you better bet your match is going to be good.
This match was great. My favorite part was everyone kicking Brandon in the face.
Cutler, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Lee Johnson, who went from jobber to just jobber as a faction. Then we have someone like Cutler who's trying a D&D gimmick, a dragon head, trying to make him something, and he realized, you know what? I'm just a flunky. And this is the perfect spot for Cutler. I love this spot.
You can get over as a flunky, though. Stevie Richards was Raven's flunky in ECW and ended up working his way up to the main event with the BWO. So you can
to censor.
Yeah, you can be a flunky and go places.
Right, exactly. Lee Johnson, get out of here. But the match ends when Pac gets a spinning back fist from Kingston to Cutler. Pac gets the cover for the win. We have the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian, coming in to make the save when the Good Brothers came in to beat down the Faces.
I really like Frankie Kazarian in this role. It gives him something new to do, and I like this new badass Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, and Tony Khan, he's watching the Pod Gods. We were talking about how Alex wasn't being partnered up with Penta anymore. This week, who's in Penta's corner? It's going to be Alex.
Alex brings so much life to Penta. I love it. I can't wait for more.
Hicks Villain says Flunky is better than a dark jobber street gimmick.
Right. So next up, we talked about beating a dead horse. We're bringing along another one on this one. We have the Pinnacle cutting a promo against the Inner Circle, which turns into the Inner Circle destroying the Pinnacle's limousine.
We've seen this, but I will say this. Every member of the Pinnacle can cut a great promo. There's really not a weak link. I love Sean Spears, like almost like crazy man rants where the other guys have to cut him off and tell him like to calm down. Wardlow cut a fantastic promo to wrap it up. They're all killers.
Yeah. This has to end with the Pinnacle going over, right? It has to.
Yeah. So this is what it is, I think. Jericho loses to MJF, but you know who will eventually beat MJF?
Sammy.
This is a build up for Sammy, I think.
Yeah. I think it's a build. Hager's going to beat Wardlow, right? Because Hager's and Wardlow are going to put on an awesome match. I think Jericho will lose and take some time off to heal up that arm, and then Sammy's going to come in and sort of start taking his spot near the top.
Yeah, no, this with the last pay-per-view, how it ended, and just Sammy's promo this week. He's making his ascension to the top.
So next up, it's Amanda's Bees favorite segment.
Oh yeah, I have to check my file, see if I have a.
Because the next match up is a TNT Championship match, and you know what that means. There's a challenge. There's a contender. There is the champion. There is the belt, and there's a whole hell of a lot of oil. As we get our now 3-time winner, Miro, the oiliest wrestler of the week. So much so, he was giving his chest hair was oiling the belt itself like a sponge.
You could see streaks of oil running down the TNT faceplate.
This Miro's oil game is unstoppable at the moment. That man will not rub it in. He will not hashtag rub it in. He knows that his bread and butter is the butter and that dripping oily substance. I am loving this Miro. I know we've given him the oil gimmick, but man, this is the best work of Miro's career. It is awesome.
Johnny Cage says that match called Who's Miro Gonna Kill This Week?
And who's going to get a whole lot of oil on his face? And if you're Darby, your face is going to get on that oil.
Man, the B seems happy that Miro is back again as the winner.
So we get Miro versus Evil Uno. Did a real good job of building up Evil Uno, someone who hasn't won a singles match at all in the history of AEW, but they're going off of the memory of their former leader who sadly passed away, Brody Lee. So we get -1. We get a whole lot of the spirit of Brody will be in there, followed by Miro saying, I don't care. And he just goes at it. This is about damn time for Miro. This is absolutely awesome. He's my favorite part of AEW every week. And it's just not the oil game, it's his in-ring game.
He taps out Evil Uno in front of the entire Dark Order and then gets in their face and smiles.
And the way he laughs at -1, it was just the essential I don't care cherry on top of that sundae. It was so good.
Sean wants to know what happens to the stash. We covered this earlier, but Phil has to keep me on my toes and change it up.
So I'll tell you, if there was this wasn't televised, but the real oiliest wrestler of the week was my upper lip, was that mustache. It was Field day, and the day before field day, it was outside, and it was a heat wave, and I could feel the sweat dripping down my stash. So much so when I removed my mask, I could see the sweat stain on the inside of my mask, and I knew that I couldn't take the oilless gimmick. That's my gimmick to give out. I can't become the gimmick, and it had to go.
Yeah, it sounds like you needed a grooming kit. Speaking of which, that reminded me. Guess what's on its way? My Smooth My Balls grooming kit. They reached out to me after the last Best Friends show, and they were like, "We want to send you a kit." So, so I can't wait to get it. There'll definitely be a review video for Smooth My Balls.
All right, SMB. If you're looking for a real challenge, hook a brother up. At Animated Phil on Instagram.
So yeah, they're sending me the kit. I'm gonna test it. If I like it, they're then gonna give me a link to give all the Pod Gods fans a chance to smooth their own balls at a discount.
Listen, if I could get a baby oil or body oil sponsor, I would love it. Like
it's coming, Phil. It's coming.
If we could have the oiliest wrestler, it's sponsored by Neutrogena's body oil, I would be all for it.
So Leandro says we should do a out of nowhere signature move of the week. It's going to be the smooth move of the week, sponsored by Smooth My Balls.
When you're trying to get ahead of the competition. All right.
Yeah. The Pod Gods Best Friend Show. We're going places, Phil.
Here we go. One deal of your ball sack at a time. All right. So next up, we get Kenny Omega's message to Jungle Boy, almost in the same vein as Orange Cassidy. Very dismissive, backhanded compliments, which end with Jungle Boy coming out for the attack, and then having the Bucks make the save.
I'm really enjoying heel Kenny Omega. I feel like he's coming into his own, getting comfortable. The first, I would say, few weeks teamed up with Don Callis. It seemed a little rough at first, him on the mic, but now it's coming naturally to him.
I think he's finally realized. I think because he's never had a gimmick like this. You know what I mean? Like when he was the cleaner as a heel, he didn't speak. When he was the best bout machine, right? As he's speaking Japanese, right? But what he was heel to a Japanese audience, but face to an American audience, right? This is him getting into his own, discovering his character, a twist on the Ric Flair Nature Boy gimmick, and I think he's just rocking it. He's cutting great promos where he's putting the other guys over.
Yeah, I was thinking of the pay-per-view when there was no way the Good Brothers could interfere. I mean, the obvious choice was the Young Bucks, but I thought maybe there was a way to bring in a new member of the Elite. And we used to talk about him, Marty Scurll, but is his career over, Phil?
No.
No? You think he's still going to be able to make a comeback?
I do. I think if Mike Tyson can be on television, why not Marty Scurll? All things being considered.
No, you make a good point. Leandro says if you shave them balls, they will definitely get the play. Play balls.
All right. So next up, we have Lance Archer squashing a jobber. Does this mean anything to you?
I actually enjoyed it. It's nice to see him portrayed as a monster. They keep saying he's a monster, but then when he has his big match, he never wins it. So at least he gets a W.
Does Braun get into this, or is he going back to the WWE?
I think he resigns with WWE at a lower rate. Hicks Villain says Marty's done. I already donated my old Villains t-shirts.
What is there something new with Marty, or is it just the fact that?
No, I thought this would have been a great time to introduce someone new to the elite.
They need to. I mean, AEW is getting a bit stagnant. I don't know. They've done a good job of always keeping feuds going, but also intertwining new feuds. But this time it feels like all the feuds are dragging along. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky with Darby Allin and Sting. Then we've got we have the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle going, right? We have Cody Rhodes still still feuding with the Nightmare Factory. Like, we have Christian and Matt Hardy going at it. It feels like nothing is living right now in AEW. It seems like because they know they're getting ready to live tour again, it feels like they're just really stretching out whatever storylines they have going on right now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So next up, we have another squash match. Layla Hirsch versus Nyla Rose. Are we supposed to be rooting for Nyla Rose?
I don't know. That's what I thought. That's what I thought this was leading to. But no, she was making fun of Layla Hirsch's size and just being a bully to her. Layla Hirsch, someone who she seemed even smaller this week. We hadn't seen her in a while on TV, but she seemed like like she was even shorter than last time.
And we're gonna get another heel versus heel match. So are they just doing this because they know Britt's gonna get cheered, so they want to cool her off a little bit before they put on a new face, or what's going on here? What do you think?
I don't know. I honestly think turning Nyla Rose babyface would be the better thing and get her away from Vicky, because Vicky should just be with Andrade.
Mm.
I think it hurts Andrade that she's also teamed up with Nyla Rose, because Nyla's not on Andrade's level.
Right. It's why Roman Reigns is because we know Paul Heyman's his manager, but him not being with Brock or mentioning Brock only elevates Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So it's main event time. We have Hangman Page and Preston Vance, aka 10 from the Dark Order, against Team Taz, in which this moment has come for it's finally come. Took a long time getting there, but Page and 10 get the victory, and it looks like Team Taz is done.
Yeah, at least Brian Cage is done with him, because he Ricky Starks tries to get him to use the belt again to cheat, and he wants no part of it, and he ends up chasing Ricky Starks off at the end, leaving Hobbs by himself to take the loss. It looks like Cage is done with Team Taz, and you're going to get the Cage brothers against Team Taz at the next pay-per-view.
And this show made me wondering, are there too many cooks?
It seems like it at times.
They really need that second show. I think that's going to be a blessing for them.
Yeah, they need that second show, and I think they need another secondary title. Mm-hmm. It could have been the FTW title. It could have been a super heavyweight title with Cage, Hobbs, Archer.
Right.
But I want to say Preston Vance, it's time to take off the mask.
Right. Agreed.
I think he's a rising star. Get rid of the mask, and I don't know. I don't know if I hate to say it, but I think the Dark Order, has run its whatever.
Has run its course. I think with Brody Lee's passing, so unfortunate, because they were hotter than anything. They were white hot. John Silver around February and around Christmas time was just absolutely phenomenal with Johnny Hungy, just absolutely killing it, and him on the shelf really kills a lot of good moments. So I just feel like the Dark Order, unfortunately, it's got to go back to Stu. It's got to go back to Stu Grayson and Uno, and everyone else has got to go their own way.
Yeah, people say. I think even the Dark Order members have said there doesn't need to be a leader of the Dark Order, but I feel like they're pretty directionless without a leader. And I don't know if you can add a leader. There's choices out there. I mean, there could be Marty Scurll is one person who could have been the leader. Even Aleister Black, Tommy End, he could be a fit for them. Although he's going to be a babyface wherever he goes. I think.
Yeah. Honestly, there are too many cooks in the kitchen for AEW, but I think all those cooks sort of hover in the mid card. Does that make sense? Like, there's no real standout main eventers outside of your Omega, Jericho, Hangman, but he's floundering in the mid card right now. Cody Rhodes is floundering in the mid card right now. So I think a lot of these cuts, if a Strowman comes there, he's a main event guy. If I'm hoping, Aleister Black comes there because he's a main event guy. Andrade feels like he's a main event. He's a mid card, signing as opposed to a main event signing. So it'll be interesting to see where AEW goes in the future when it comes to actually booking their championship.
You know who I would put with Dark Order? Mm-hmm. And it was actually one of the choices originally, Matt Hardy. But keep the HFO gimmick. And just like he hires all these guys because they're down on their luck, he recruits them.
He's got to be the broken. If he goes broken and it goes face, I think that's a good way of. And then you could have whatever Hardy Party was, like the Big Money Foundation up against the Dark Order, so you get a bit of a feud that way. And maybe Matt Hardy does double duty.
Yeah,
he fights himself.
That would be perfect. He takes another fall, he hits his head. Half the show he's Broken Matt, and then he's Big Money Matt, and he's pitting his two stables against each other. We just booked this.
Amazing.
Tony, we know you're listening. You put Alex back with Penna. Now put Matt with the Dark Order. We're solving problems here. Johnny Cage says, the Dark Order came to Darby's defense so many times. I hope they don't put him in charge. Darby giving Sting some shit this week.
I was going to ask, how does that make you feel?
I was like, that ungrateful,
Pipsqueak.
Pipsqueak. Yeah, he's nothing without Sting.
The man is copyright infringement of Sting.
He's Sting's mini-me, basically. And he's given Sting attitude saying, I don't want you there.
Calm down, Vernon Troyer.
He doesn't even give him the fist bump.
This is a storyline that needs to end. Poor Ethan Page is just whittling away.
Yeah.
Do you think it was? I don't know. I hate to end the show on a low note, but was there just so much wrestling this week that we expected more from it?
It really seemed like there was a lot, and we've watched Impact, AEW, and a pay-per-view. I mean, we just did it a couple weeks ago with AEW's pay-per-view, but AEW's pay-per-view was awesome. It was so incredible. Like, we were on a wrestling high. Against All Odds was good, but it didn't leave us on that high.
No, I feel like we've crashed with this week of wrestling, and that's why I'm hoping it picks back up again this week, where we can actually feel that high again.
I feel like this is a good comment we can leave on. Hicksville nailed it. Darby is embarrassed of his dad's Sting. Yeah, this is totally like it was. It's like when my mom would drop me off at elementary school. Mom, don't kiss me. The guys are watching.
I got a segment for next week.
I'm
The
looking forward
Adventures of Darby and Dad.
to-
And we have to talk about what has Darby done to disgrace his father.
I'm looking forward to it. Phil, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @AnimatedPhil. If you want to push a oil, I will hashtag rub it in.
Also, the link to Phil's Etsy store is in the description. Go check it out if you haven't. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Poulton, hit the notifications, and if you haven't, go check out Viking Wolf. We'll be back. I think we'll be back this Thursday for Best Friends Show. And guys, thanks for watching, man.